out of his mercy, and this is why he is exceptionally dear to devotees. He brings Krishna. So in Gopala Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami has described this, that when the feelings of separation became intolerable to the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna asked his elder brother Balaram to go to Vraja and give his devotees solace. But that was not easy. Balaram knew that the Vrajavasis or Brijavasis could only be satisfied by the sweet darshan of Krishna, not by anything or anyone else. So how did Balaram resolve this? He brought Krishna to his own mind first and then displayed Krishna to the gopis. The gopis were immediately overwhelmed with love from the darshan of their beloved Krishna, satisfied at long last by Lord Balaram. This incident is also described by Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book. It's chapter 66. In the presence of Lord Balaram, all the gopis and other inhabitants of Vrindavan became as cheerful as they had been before in the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. So this is the power of Lord Balaram. He brings Krishna, and therefore one of his name is Sankarshan, which means to attract or to draw. So Lord Balaram attracts or draws Lord Krishna. So Lord Balaram is also the one who attracts the souls who have forgotten Krishna. He attracts them to Krishna. He drags them to Krishna. And sometimes maybe they don't even want, but sometimes by tricks, or sometimes maybe is also by force to some extent. So we have heard stories that some people have tried to avoid Krishna, but somehow they couldn't, or to avoid devotees. And again there was so-called accidents where they somehow always meet devotees. And eventually they surrender and they say, okay, I will not try to run away anymore from Krishna or from devotees. Thank you. So we know that Lord Balaram has used this tool or instrument called plough to drag river Yamuna. And it is said that he uses also this plough to freeze the hearts of devotees from all attachments. So this is significant for us. Sometimes it may be forceful, sometimes it may be difficult. And sometimes devotees say, why Krishna doesn't fulfill my desires? And Krishna says in the scriptures that he fulfills all desires, but it seems that he fulfills all desires except mine. And you may say, I'm so unfortunate, Krishna is fulfilling all desires. I have seen that he has fulfilled the desires of many devotees also, and even material desires, except mine. So you may say, how can I understand this? I mean, why is this so? Why am I so unfortunate? And this is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Amivigya. Krishna says, what does that mean? Amivigya. What does it mean? Who knows? And why Krishna says Amivigya? You don't know what it means, Amivigya? Ami, I am, Vigya. Huh? I'm learned, okay, very close. Gya, knowledge, but Vigya. Okay, you're close. I'm intelligent. I'm intelligent, and therefore I do not give always my devotee everything he wants. I do not give something that will be detrimental to his advancement. And sometimes we feel like a child from whom the toy has been taken away. But somehow later we feel grateful that he didn't give us everything we want, and that he gave us something more valuable. Svamin kritarto svi smivaran nayache. Dhruva Maharaj made this statement. In which circumstances, who knows? And what it means. Dhruva Maharaj. We know what he wanted. He wanted to have a planet even higher than his grandfather's, which means than Lord Brahma's. And he followed the instructions to achieve what he wanted to achieve. Lord Vishnu was so pleased with him. He appeared in front of him and he said, Svamin kritartosmi varanayache. What does that mean?
I guess he said, I don't need to sell glass.
Broken glass. Mm-hmm. And? He gave what? What? The diamonds, yeah. You gave me precious jewel, your darshan. So he forgot, became insignificant. So this so-called renunciation that we have in Krishna consciousness is based on the principle of having something better. Imagine you like chips, but you also have a favorite cake, which is, you can see it maybe once a year when you have a birthday. And you always welcome chips, potato chips, or pommes frites, how you call it? French fries. So, and then someone brings you your favorite cake. Do you think you will think about fries? I don't think so. You'll just think, wow, my favorite cake. There is no fries in your mind anymore. Because you have something better that you also like, but you like 10 times more. So similarly, our so-called renunciation is from different types of sense gratification is based actually on having something much better, having better enjoyment, having greater happiness. And we see that Krishna has given us so much shocking enjoyments for the senses, even within spiritual life. So we went on the street with books, and we sometimes talk to people about renunciation, invite them to the Sunday program. Maybe brahmachari or anybody, invite people to the Sunday program, and they come expecting renunciation. Then when they come, they experience shock to the senses, colors, smells, tastes, sounds, even touch sometimes. And sometimes they see a devotee who was telling them about renunciation with a huge plate of prasadam. And they say, wow, this is interesting renunciation. And then they ask, so why they eat so much? Oh, this is not an ordinary food. This is food that has been offered to God. So it is renunciation. They don't eat anything. They eat everything. They don't leave anything on the plate. So Krishna consciousness can be very... I don't know if you had this experience. When I came first time in Villa Vrindavan in Italy, I was shocked. First of all, food. This was my first impression. Then Kirtan, next day there was morning program, Kirtan. They're jumping, they're screaming. First of all they jump high, then next thing they fall on the floor. And flat. Then during the dancing they spin like anything and hold their hands and sweat, and just very shocking experience. So Krishna overwhelms our senses that are attracted to material sense objects, but he gives us spiritual sense object and spiritual sensual experience. And therefore these senses become absorbed and have this experience, purifying experience of spiritual energy or spiritual taste. So we feel this like a wave of energy. So we see sometimes we are just dragged into Krishna consciousness in some way. And Lord Balaram with his plow, he actually sometimes drags us from the material world, even sometimes by force. Srila Prabhupada said that of course Srila Prabhupada is not like us, he is not an ordinary soul, but he said his friend dragged him to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He dragged him. Okay, so let's see, what else we have here? One significance of Lord Balaram is that he actually removes all the obstacles on our path. And this plow has a deep significance. He frees our hearts from all attachments by this plow. We all know that Krishna carries a flute by which he attracts akarshana, all those who can hear its clear, divinely gorgeous notes. But alas, the conditioned souls have no ability to hear the Lord's flute play because of worldly desires that have overgrown their spiritual hearts. Thus Lord Balaram takes his plough and uproots the weeds of material desires, making the devotee's heart into a fertile field for the seed of bhakti to grow. Then only can the jiva again respond to the attraction of Krishna, his names, form, qualities and pastimes, nama, rupa, guna, lila. And who is the representative of Lord Balaram here in the material world? The spiritual master, yes. He is the representative. So he instructs his disciples how to purify their heart, how to cultivate bhakti. And in order to experience the full attraction, which is also called akarshana, this this cultivation is called karshana. Karshana is cultivation, and this is needed. So now, conditioned souls usually don't like to be corrected by anyone. But spiritual master's duty is to correct the disciple, sometimes even to chastise the disciple. So the genuine disciple, the real disciple, he is actually ready to be corrected by the spiritual master and ready to be even chastised sometimes. He is ready to hear sometimes the sharp words of a sadhu. Conditioned souls in this world are chastised by his family members, sometimes with very harsh words, but they never leave the association of their family. But when the saintly person comes and speaks sharp words, which are meant to cut off the attachment to the material sense gratification, then sometimes the conditioned soul just runs away. That doesn't come back. And then the conditioned soul says, oh, sadhu should be very, very soft. He should be gentle. He should not speak like this. But we see in the scriptures, in many situations, sharp words of a devotee. And for example, Prahlad Maharaj, he was a small boy, but he was very bold in how he was approaching and addressing his father. His father was challenging and asked him, where did you get this strength from? And he said, from the same source as you. Krishna has chastised Arjuna in the position of his guru. He said, you sound like a learned person, but you are actually a fool number one. In many lectures, Srila Prabhupada says this. You're a fool number one. You sound like you know the Vedas and you know all the rules and regulations and all the principles, but you don't understand the essence and what you are supposed to do. So one qualification of a bona fide disciple is that he is ready to be corrected. And sometimes it's very difficult for the false ego. It's difficult for the false ego to be corrected. But this is the qualification of a disciple. He has to be ready to accept. And sometimes this correction or chastisement comes from devotees. Through them, Krishna speaks, or even from some other people. Sometimes it can come from children. I remember maybe a year or two after I joined in 83 in Croatia. And one morning we were chanting japa, during japa time. Myself and one devotee were talking something during japa. I don't know what was it. I think he was a temple commander, so sometimes during japa he would do some things. He had to manage something. And then he approached me and started to say something. I can't remember what it is. And then the son, very little son of our temple president, he approached us and he looked at us and said, "You are spaced out." We were shocked. First of all, where did he hear this word? I mean, this is English word. He speaks Croatian. And how does he know what it means? And how does he know that we are wasting time during japa? So we looked at each other, we said, this Krishna speaks through him. He couldn't possibly understand that we are not supposed to. He very small boy, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. But how does he understand? I mean, he's not chanting. So we didn't get on his case. He's not chanting, but he was inspired by God to say that you are not supposed to do this. You are not supposed to do this. So we just smiled and said, okay, we will stop talking now. So the moment one surrenders to be straight on his path, he feels immediate relief and bhakti starts to grow in his heart. So when Balaram was in Vrindavan, Yamuna Devi first disobeyed his orders, but then she surrendered to him. So there is one beautiful prayer in this connection. My dear Balaram, you are the most powerful personality and you are pleasing to everyone. Unfortunately, I forgot your glorious, exalted position, but now I have come to my senses and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion Shesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe. My dear Supreme Personality, you are full with 6 opulences. Because I forgot your omnipotence, I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. But my dear Lord, please know that I am a soul surrendered unto you, who are very affectionate to your devotees. Therefore, please excuse my impudence and mistakes, and by your causeless mercy, may you now release me. So this was, you understand, this was said by Yamuna Devi. And when she actually displayed this submissive attitude, he forgave her and he enjoyed swimming in her waters. So on this sacred day of the all auspicious appearance of Lord Balaram, let us surrender our hearts to Lord Balaram. Let him drag us closer to the Lord, even sometimes by force. There is a beautiful prayer in Padyavali, which is a compilation of verses by many, many devotees, compilation by Rupa Goswami. It's a little book, a small book, but full of powerful, beautiful prayers. And one devotee is praying, Mighty Lord, do anything, everything that is necessary so that I surrender. So this is a very bold prayer. So this morning we were speaking a little bit, we were listening to Srila Prabhupada's class on Lord Nityananda, but there he spoke a lot about Lord Balaram also, because Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram, who has appeared, Hare Krishna, who has appeared along with Lord Chaitanya to spread the glories of the holy name and the glories of bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada was saying that we should pray to Lord Balaram, pray to him, pray for Bala or strength. And this is something that we forget sometimes. We forget to pray. We maybe sometimes think, oh, praying, this is for weak people, or this is for the ladies, or, it's not for me. I'm a hero. I'm chanting, and I'm fighting, and I'm engaged in the mission. But all the great personalities actually pray to the Lord. No matter how powerful they are physically or emotionally or intellectually or spiritually, they are all praying. And Krishna's uncle Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers. And he was a general. He was a military man. Simply by offering prayers. Vandanam is one of the 9 processes, means offering obeisances or offering prayers. So I highly recommend that you use these 3 words and address the Lord. You can extend these 3 words with few more words, and I can also recommend 2 ways how to extend this. So 3 words are my dear Lord, and then my dear Lord, please help me. My dear Lord, please help me. You can think, when was the last time when you used this phrase? My dear Lord, please help me to do this and this and that. Or my dear Lord, how can I? My dear Lord Balaram, how can I? My dear Lord Balaram, please help me to do this and this and that, to advance in devotional service, to fight against my anarthas, or overcome my anarthas, overcome weakness of the heart, hridaya dorbalyam. Oh, there is so many things we can pray for. So many things we can pray for. So, you may try to increase the quantity and the quality of your prayers, and specifically you can pray to Lord Balaram. So, Lord Balaram is actually expands as all the paraphernalia for the support of the service of the Lord. So the temple is also expansion of Lord Balaram. The walls in the temple and everything we see, all the paraphernalia is there. It's an expansion of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram loves Krishna so much that he expands and facilitates and supports devotional service. In one sense, actually, Lord Balaram is like a heart surgeon. So he can do like heart surgery. He can operate our hearts. He can operate our hearts with his instrument, which is plow. His instrument. Sometimes it's very painful. One devotee told me the other day, "Oh, it's so painful to get free from attachments. It's like somebody's, how you say this, not pulling hair, but pulling the flesh. Yeah, pulling. Somebody's pulling flesh from your hand or from your body. And then we discussed that this is because we identify with the body. This is why it's so painful. We identify. It's like in the movie, you are watching and you identify with the actors so much that everything they go through, you feel. You feel as it's you going through all this. If the hero or heroine on the screen suffers, you suffer. If the heroine on the screen is happy, you are happy. Because you identify so much with them. So similarly, you identify with your body and with your present role. We identify with our body and our present role, and it's so painful to give up attachments. Sometimes it's forced. And sometimes in the war, one has to undergo surgery, one has to have a bullet taken out from his body, even if there is no anesthetic. And people may, like 4 people may hold you while operation is there because you would object, you will kick and scream, and they hold you, and finally somehow they take out the bullet and put something some disinfection, how you say, disinfection, some liquid to antiseptic or something. Yeah. And it hurts even more when they put this, but they have to do it, otherwise there will be infection. And after some time, when you calm down, they told you, yes, it was very painful, but we saved your life. We saved your life. Mm. We say, why are you so harsh with me? You cut. You cut. Why didn't you do like this? But this would not save his life. Bullet has to be taken out. You may be gentle, you may say, oh, my dear bullet, please come out. No, the bullet will not come out. So this is also why Lord has a plow. Lord Balaram has a plow. Sometimes it has to be taken out, rooted out, incised. There is this English word, incising. It's used when we want to take out the assumptions that we have that are stopping us from doing things. The thought that you can have may stop you. You can have an assumption, the thought that is actually not true, but it can be stopping you. Like, for example, your mind can tell you, oh, you cannot do that. Why? Oh, because you are incapable. And somebody, maybe your parents or somebody was telling you since childhood, you are useless. And you start to believe it. And you assume that you are useless, but actually it's not true. It's such a great power. So somehow you have to find a way, or someone can help you, maybe a therapist or a coach or a mentor, to help you to root out this conception. So even now, almost, I believe every one of us has something that is holding us back. And we need someone to have a plow and to root it out. Like Lord, we can pray to Lord Balaram. My dear Lord Balaram, please remove with your plow all my misconceptions that are holding me back and stopping me from making spiritual advancement. And we have been given by Srila Prabhupada engagement in the preaching mission. This is the most powerful way to advance, very fast way to advance for conditioned souls. So if you engage in the preaching mission and you act as a representative of the Lord, although you are not on that level, we are not on that level to be qualified to be representatives of the Lord, but He is giving us this service because this is such a powerful purifier. Then we can make very fast spiritual advancement from the conditioned state to the liberated state. So therefore, my also appeal to you is to pray to the original Guru, who is Lord Balaram, to remove all obstacles to our engaging in the mission. One of the, I have been hearing, making myself, hearing from others, hearing from other devotees in the seminars, in the classes, in the written messages, the most favorite excuse of devotees why you do not preach. Can you guess what it is? Why we do not preach or do not preach enough? What is this most favorite excuse? Not capable. 95% you have guessed right, but there is another word. I am not qualified. How many of you have made this statement? Okay, maybe it's embarrassing to raise your hand. Okay, you raise your hand in your mind. How many of you have made this statement to yourself or to others? Can you please click class? I'm not qualified. Ask somebody else. Can you please distribute books? Oh, my false ego cannot stand rejection. Okay, now I'm speaking about old days in the 80s. So the mother of the boy I mentioned, who approached me and another devotee, actually another devotee and me, and told us that we are spaced out, his mother went with him on Sankirtan when he was in this child cart, how you call it? What? Yeah, I think so. He was small. She was pushing this pram or a cart on wheels on the street, and she would go to distribute books. And because she realized this is not going to be easy, and many people are rejecting me. You know this? We call it Kali Yuga Japa, this clicker. You know? So at that time we didn't have soundless clicker. It was click, clicker that clicks. Click, you can hear it, it's metal. So she was very, I mean, she had a sense of humor. So she was clicking and counting how many people rejected her. And sometimes in the evening she comes, I stayed back in the temple, I was new. They didn't send me on the street immediately, only after 2 weeks. So she would come back and say, Bhakta Atso, I have been rejected 95 times today, but at the end of the day, I distributed 20 books. Krishna was merciful. He saw I don't give up. I even went with my child, and at the end he gave me results. So I was counting, didn't give up, and at the end he says, okay, you're not giving up. Okay, here's results. So go distribute books. Oh no, I cannot accept rejection. I was very, very unsuccessful on book distribution. And in the beginning I would, after maybe 5-6 rejections, you knock on the door, who is this? Well, we have something for you, some books. They say, no, we don't read. Or we don't have money, or we don't want, or we don't need. So after several rejections, I would buy yogurt and bananas, offer them on the bench in the park, and cry. Because I couldn't distribute anything. Nobody wants to buy from me. I don't know why. So one excuse, I cannot do it. And there was a devotee who also was very frustrated with no results on book distribution. And he would... somehow he wouldn't leave the street. I went to the park, so I don't know, people could have approached me also and looked at my bag. But he would not leave the street. He would stand, he would not leave, he would stand on the street with his bag, but not even showing the books. And you know what happened? People come to him and say, what do you have inside? He said, may I have some books? You have books, can I see them? And they would buy from him. So that's good that he didn't leave. Okay, so we don't want to distribute books, we don't want to give a class, I'm not qualified. But actually Lord Balaram, if we take his shelter, if we pray to him, he can remove all these excuses with his plow. And we can agree to be instruments in Lord's hands and to engage as an instrument in the preaching mission. And it doesn't matter if you're shy or you are really charismatic. You can, in your own style, you don't have to be someone else. You cannot become some devotee who is very outgoing or charismatic or forceful, or he has Shakti to really animate people. Maybe you have heard one of the Sankirtan legends in Germany, Brihad Bhanu Prabhu. You heard about him, Brihad Bhanu? He is one of the, I think, more famous Sankirtan devotees. You have heard? Yeah? So he was little chubby, little more chubby, and he would run after people and poke them in the stomach with books. Sometimes he would hug them or even jump and they hold him. And he would do all kinds of funny things, and people would buy books from him and sets from him. So you don't have to be stiff and say, take books, otherwise you're a demon, you will go to hell, and threaten people with the eternal damnation. And no, you can be yourself, and you can have your own style, and you can be light also. You don't have to be heavy, but you can be empowered by Lord Balaram to give Krishna consciousness to people. So let us pray on this day to be good instruments of Lord Balaram, who is the original Guru, and engage in this wonderful preaching mission and bring more people to be fortunate and to hear of glories of Lord Balaram. So thank you very much for listening. We have 10 seconds for questions, I think. And at 7 o'clock is what? Arati, okay. Okay, so thank you very much. We will start now Arati. And Hare Krishna. Lord Balaram ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.